Tuesday, July 1st. May we have roll call, please?
Okay. Councilmember Dotson.
Here.
Schultz.
Here.
Burbank.
Here.
Rainey.
Here.
Svenby.
Here.
Trilson. Abraham.
Here.
Mayor Kuntz.
Here.
We have 6 of the council and the mayor present.
Thank you. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight, and with that, we do have one addition to the agenda. No, it was just the paperwork was provided. Is that correct?
And we actually added the regards to the ordinances that had been previously tabled. It's going to be tabled, but it needs to be noted that it's tabled tonight.
So we have
added that ordinance.
Addition of 3.4 ordinance to the agenda. Look for a motion to approve with that addition.
Move to accept the agenda.
We have a motion by Greg Schultz to accept. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Next item on the agenda is public hearing 1.5.1 preliminary assessments for 2014 sidewalk project. And with that, we'll go to Kyle.
Good evening. This is our annual review of sidewalks around town where we inspect for damage or we receive complaints of damage. The city pays for 50% of the cost of the repair, and the abutting property owners pay for the other 50%. Our estimated cost is a little over $11,000 for this improvement, with an estimated cost of $5,625.91 being assessed. We've received communication from one property owner, Mrs. Paulson, at 537 East Main Street. She may be in attendance. Her concern is that the boulevard tree caused the damage to the sidewalk. She did not feel that she should be responsible for the damages caused by the boulevard tree. So I did go inspect that. It is as a result of the tree. However, it is, in my opinion, kind of a common occurrence that trees do push up the sidewalks. So it's not an isolated incident. It is, I guess, normal, but she may wish to expand on that.
Thank you. With that, at 7:04, we'll open up to a public hearing. If anyone wishes to speak, please come to the microphone.
I'm Janet Paulson, and I've been after people to cut that tree down since Main Street was redone. And every year I call somebody and talk to them and say, it's a hazard when I back out of the driveway. There are people that have come up to check it, but they come in these big tall trucks, drive in my driveway, and then they say it's not a hazard. So I don't know. It's getting to the point where, if it starts putting up my driveway, the apron of the driveway, then I'm going to be really upset. But then now, I think it was Mike Knudsen, is that his name? Is it Knudsen? He said that the tree would be cut down by the 15th of July. So I'm hoping, and if there are any cars at Main Street is a busy street. If there are any cars that are parked from my house down to the corner, it's really hard seeing the traffic come through those stop and go lights down there. So, anything you could do to help would be great, but,
So he did say that it's scheduled to be cut down?
Yeah, he said it would be done by June, and he says, depending on what the weather is, he says, in case, we get a storm. Mm-hmm. He says, let's go to the 15th of July. So I said, if it's not cut by the 15th of July, then I can call you back again, and he said, yeah, so.
Okay, thank you. And I think we should follow up on that.
That is correct. I have talked to Mr. Knudsen, and he intends to take that tree down.
Okay. Okay.
Sign this? Yeah.
Yes, please.
Kyle, is that date still with the flooding and everything is?
We're behind with tree work. We can certainly try to get to it by then, and I think that's a reasonable amount of time. So.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak on the sidewalk issue? Seeing none, we'll look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Nate to close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Burbank. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been closed. Now it's up to the council to question or ask comments or vote on this. So what is the council's wishes here? Any discussion? Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Greg Schultz to approve the resolution 35-14 and accept the bids. Do you have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Nate Dotson. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved to proceed. Thank you. Next item would be the financial report, and I will ask Greg if you would.
Sure thing. Here's a recap of the financial report. Checks issued over $20,000 are detailed as $23,186 to Crane Creek Asphalt for 2014 street and utility projects, $146,162 to DMC Plumbing and Heating, Inc. for the wastewater treatment plant boiler replacement, $43,553 to James Brothers Construction, Inc. for the Bridge Street sidewalk, $22,500 to the Owatonna Area Chamber is their second half payment, $26,750 to JJD Companies for the demolition of flood mitigation houses, $25,639 to Mansfield Oil Company for fuel purchases, and other expenditures of $216,234 for total expenditures presented for approval of $504,026.
Thank you. You've heard that, the statements. Any questions on the financial report?
Motion to pay the bills.
Motion by Kevin to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brent Fenby. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. We'll move on to consent agenda items, which are minutes of meetings, department reports, event permits, etc., all grouped into one motion. And with that, the chair will look for a motion. Motion by Nate Dotson to approve the consent agenda items. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Burbank. Any further discussion on those? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Moving on down to action items 3.2.1, Amendment Number 1, Grant Agreement with MnDOT Aeronautics for airport maintenance. And we'll go to Troy.
MnDOT Aeronautics provides grant funding for airports under the Minnesota Airport Maintenance and Operations Agreements. The funding and participation provides reimbursement for eligible costs such as building repairs, mowing, equipment repair costs, and utilities not to exceed an amount calculated by the airport infrastructure formula. At the end of the recent Minnesota legislative session, additional funding was returned to the state airport fund that was previously transferred to balance the state general fund. MnDOT has received legislative authorization for an additional $4 million in spending authority over the state fiscal years 2014 and 15. These state dollars will be used to increase the state share of grants awarded for airport development and the maintenance and operations grant program. The amendment allows the additional payment of 10% to the approved amount already reimbursed by MnDOT for airport maintenance and operations expenses since July of 2013 and within fiscal year 2014. The state now also reimbursed the city for 75% rather than 2/3 for the eligible maintenance and operation costs. The state will reimburse the city of Owatonna 75% of the direct actual maintenance and operations costs of the airport not to exceed $48,260. This is an increase of $4,387 over the budget for 2014. So staff would recommend approval of the amendment to the airport maintenance operations agreement with MnDOT Aeronautics.
Thank you, Troy. Any questions from the council?
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Greg Schultz to approve. Do you have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Kevin Rainey. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This is opposed? This has been approved also. Moving on to ordinance, the second reading proposed ordinance 5-14 vacant property registration. We'll take that to Chris.
Yes, I would recommend that the council table this ordinance to allow staff additional time to further refine the language in the ordinance.
Thank you. Do you have any idea what time frame you may be looking at?
5/15.
What should we say? First meeting in August.
Okay. Thank you. With that,
August 4th.
I'm sorry, what?
August 4th.
August 4th?
Yeah, it's a Monday.
There you go.
So we are looking for...
To a table till August 4th.
We have a motion by Brent Svenby to table this motion until August 4th. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Nate Dodson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This is tabled until August 4th. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to resolutions 3.51, resolution 3414, terminate state of emergency caused by weather beginning June 5th, 16th. And that will go to, see, I think Mike is here. We'll take it to Mike.
Tonight, I'm here with an action item with the recommendation to terminate the state of emergency from our flooding that we had from the recent significant rainfall. And I'd also like to do a update on our flooding and a situation and recovery process. And at a previous meeting, we talked about a debris removal plan, and I commented I would come back with a recommendation for that also. So the first item that I have is when we declare a state of emergency, we're required to pass a resolution to terminate the state of emergency within 3 days when we do that. And my recommendation is we're ready to go ahead and remove the state of emergency and just go to our normal day-to-day operations.
Okay, thank you. And then we will also be discussing the cleanup process, or?
Yeah, would you like me to do that now?
Yeah, why don't you do that right away? Or do we need a motion on that also?
You would need a motion on the resolution to terminate the state of emergency.
We got that.
Okay. And then as far as the recovery process, I can give the council an update. We completed damage assessments. We're roughly at $2.4 million in the county with the 4 cities in the county. And we have a date set with FEMA and the state of Minnesota to come in and do preliminary damage assessments on July 9th. That'll take us about a day to go through and do that. We're added in addition to 35 counties that are included in this request for federal assistance. If we complete those, there's some thresholds that we have to meet to be eligible for state and federal assistance. The first requirement is the state has to have roughly $7.3 million in total damage throughout the state for the state to be eligible. And then the county by itself needs to go through and have about $128,000 in damages to public infrastructure. And there's 3 areas that we look at when we do damage assessments for floods. The first is public assistance, the PA program, and that's damage to public property and its uninsured loss that's there. And the second area is the individual assistance, and that would be many of the homeowners in the community that were affected. And roughly you have to have over 500 homes considered in the major category for damage to be eligible for the IA. And then the third area is the Small Business Administration, and that affects our businesses as far as the recovery process. I would say with the damage assessments we have now, it's unlikely that we'd have enough damages for SBA, Small Business Administration assistance that's there, and we're unlikely to get IA assistance for individual homeowners. Our total number in 2010 was 450 damaged homes, and we're under 35 from this flooding event. So in comparison, we didn't get individual assistance in 2010, so it's unlikely we'd get it now. But it is likely that we'll get assistance for the PA program. And it's from our estimates, we'll be able to meet those thresholds, and we'd be eligible for federal and state assistance for those programs. The good thing with that is when we become eligible in the state, whatever the total damage in the state for all the counties affected, 25% of that fund has to be used for mitigation projects. And in comparison to 2010 and other floods that we had in our area, this is a good success story for our community. In many of the areas that have flooded in the past, working with Troy and others in the city, other department heads, we did mitigation projects. And for example, in the southeast portion of the city, we had 450 homes damaged during one flooding event. We had very minor damage in that area. Many of our residents can remember the flooding in the industrial park where we had to evacuate the microtel. Those areas weren't affected because we put ponding systems in place that were retention detention systems to hold water, which we didn't have any of the flooding in those areas. So in many of our areas, those mitigation projects are working. We had similar amounts of rain, and we didn't have the same damages that we did before. So that's the good story in relation to this flood. And we'll continue to work on areas that are having flooding. I know there'll be mitigation funds available after this disaster is declared, and we already have some discussions in place on how we could use that funding to make some improvements. So we'll complete those assessments on July 9th. The recommendation will go to the governor, and then it'll go to the President of the United States to declare if we're eligible for assistance or not. So the third part that I wanted to talk to you about is the debris removal process. Normally, if you have a disaster, a tornado or a flood where you have large amounts of damaged structures, communities can go through and use PA funding to implement a debris removal plan. In this case, because we have such a small amount of structures affected, I don't think it's necessary for us to go through and implement a debris removal plan at this time. We discussed this before at one of our previous sessions, so my recommendation would be not to do that at this time. Okay. So your action item would be just to terminate the state of emergency.
Thank you, Mike. With that, what is the council's wishes?
I just have a question or
yes.
comment. I would like to see when all the water recedes and the smoke clears, the mitigation things that were put in place after the 2010 flood. I'm sure you're doing this, but see how they performed. If we still have some areas that didn't work like we thought, or we need other areas we need to do some work on to get a report on some of that so we can kind of keep abreast of what's happening. So
we can do that.
Very, very good. I like that. Then we can look at it, and if we need to
make some plans for some things, we can start planning that.
Or even correct some of the things that may have been wrong or done wrong. So, okay.
That being said, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Greg Schultz to approve Resolution 3514. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Dave Burbank. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. We will move on to Resolution 3514, issue of state and sale of general obligation bonds, Series 214A. And with that, we'll go to Rhonda.
Thank you. The city is in the process of proceeding to issue bonds for the year to pay for some of their capital projects and equipment. And tonight we have Doug Green of Springstead with us, and he's going to go over the details of that.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, my name is Doug Green with Springstead Incorporated. A lot of familiar faces. It's very nice to be here this evening. As Rhonda mentioned, we are in the planning for the issuance of the city's Series 2014A bonds. The resolution that you have in front of you sets the date and time of the sale and authorizes Springstead to take bids on the city's behalf. That resolution certainly doesn't obligate the city to go through with the bond sale in any way. It just authorizes Springstead and the staff to continue on with the process and make sure everyone is on board and knows what the plan is. Estimated par amount of the bonds is $1,000,000 $1,170,000. And you'll see, if you're looking at the debt service schedules in your packet, they're broken out into two portions. The improvement portions, which finance the 2014 street utility projects, and then $800,000 for the equipment portion, which I think the biggest piece is the pumper truck. So the repayment on the equipment portion is over 5 years. And then because of the relatively small amount on the improvement portion, we normally would have financed that over 10 years, but in order to reduce the total interest cost, we reduced that to 6 years, and that fits in well nicely with the with all the other outstanding debt of the city in the future plans. So those schedules are in your packet too. Right now, we're estimating an interest rate of 1.75%. That reflected the market as of last week. Obviously, by the time we get to the bond sale on August 4th, things will change. Hopefully, for this purpose, rates will go down. Generally, in the municipal bond market, rates just don't move that much. Don't move that significantly over a month's time unless there's something significant that occurs in the market. And we'll certainly be watching that as well. And if something does happen, we bring it to your attention. But we certainly don't expect rates to change that much. So we should be in that 1.75% range. So over the next few months, next few weeks, we'll be putting together the official statement, which is the offering document to potential bondholders. We'll be preparing for the rating call with Moody's, and that's already scheduled for July 21st, which I expect to go very well, and for the city to maintain its AA2 rating. And then on August 4th, we'll take bids on behalf of the city and bring those results to you that evening for your consideration. So with that, I'll be happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Seeing none, thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Look forward to doing this. And with that, I will look for a motion.
Motion to approve Resolution 35-14.
We have a motion by Brent Svenby to approve Resolution 3514. Do you have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Kevin Rainey. Any further discussion here? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Good job. Thank you. With that, we will now move on to Resolution 3614, approve bids and award contract 2014 Airport Apron Project. And there we go to Troy.
Bids were received and opened on June 25th for the project. 3 bids were received from James Brother Construction, Warnke Construction, and Cranecrete Asphalt. Schedule 1 provides the reconstruction of existing pavements with the lowest pavement condition index. Schedule 2 provides for expansion of the apron to allow for improved access and parking areas as designated in the approved airport layout plan. And Schedule 3 provides for needed mill and overlay of a portion of that apron. The combined Schedule low bid was approximately 16% over the engineer's estimates. The airport engineering firm has reviewed the bids and recommends accepting the low bidder for all 3 schedules, James Brothers Construction, for the project. The award of the contract should be contingent upon securing FAA grant funding for 90% of project funding for eligible items, as well as an additional 5% from state funding for federally eligible items and 80% funding for federally ineligible items. In the event the anticipated FAA grant offer is less than the amount requested for construction for all 3 bid schedules, the bids will be reviewed and determine the low bidder for the combination of the schedules that funding is made available for. The bidding documents provided that the award of the contract be made to the lowest responsible bidder for those portions of the project that actually get funded. So we have 3 parts to it. All of them are separate grant applications. If any one of those does not get funded, then we will reevaluate the bids to see if James Brothers is still the lowest bid. So based on the low bid and combination of anticipated grant funding, the city's share of the construction costs will be $28,964. The overall construction cost will be $338,307. All project costs are contingent upon, again, securing the FAA and state grant funding for eligible items. So staff recommends approval of the resolution accepting bid and awarding contract for all three schedules to James Brothers Construction, contingent upon securing the anticipated federal and state grant funding.
Thank you, Troy. Questions from the council? Jeff or Greg?
I just want to make sure all the bidders are aware of this, could be this unusual combination of...
Yeah, that wording was in the bid package there. It'll be on the lowest bid for those projects that are actually funded, and that we were going to submit grants after we got the bids in.
Any other questions?
So with those three projects being bid out separately, we are within our rights to award the bid as a total package lowest cost versus, I mean, obviously they're the Schedule 3. They're the highest bidder. Is that correct? If you look at each project cost?
Right, so it's a total of all the portions of the project that are going to be done.
And we have the ability to award it as a total package lowest cost.
So if FAA funding does not come in for one of those schedules,
then they go back to
we'll take the low bid of those that will be funded and done.
Okay.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure the bidders were knowledgeable.
Yeah. It is a little different. Yeah.
Okay. We have a motion.
Troy, what's the timing for the finding out if you get the grant or not?
We hope to have that probably in early August.
And this project would be this fall then?
Yeah, September is we're looking at.
So we have a motion by Greg. We don't have a second yet, do we?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion now? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved with that caveat. Moving on to 3714, accept donation of property, 305 Mineral Springs Road, and we're back to Troy again.
So city staff has been working with Quick Trip on the donation of the old Quick Trip store at 303 Mineral Springs Road to the city. As you know, they built a new store across the street, and so the old store has been sitting there vacant. Quick Trip would donate the property to the city for resale, with the proceeds of the sale going to benefit the city. Quick Trip has had the property for sale for over 2 years without an acceptable offer. Quick Trip offered the property to the city for public purposes. With no public purpose for the property and the commercial potential of the property, staff began discussions with Quick Trip about reselling the property upon gifting it to the city. Quick Trip accepted the counteroffer and indicated that they would like the proceeds of the sale of the property to go towards capital improvements in the park system. Since this property was previously a gas station, the city wants to make sure we are not taking on any liabilities with that. The tanks were removed from the site in 2012, and the MPCA determined that the investigation and/or cleanup was adequately addressed the petroleum tank release at the site. Staff also had a Phase 1 environmental study completed. This assessment has revealed no evidence of recognized environmental conditions in connection with the site, except for the remaining petroleum, soil, and groundwater contamination is considered a controlled, recognized environmental condition. Any redevelopment of the site may need additional testing of the soil. The city also received a petroleum storage tank release liability letter from the MPCA limiting the city's liability of the site. The city has incurred $2,325 in costs for the Phase 1 study and the MPCA limited liability letter, which would come from the proceeds of the sale of the property. The property is appraised at $190,000, which is about the amount Quick Trip had it listed for. There are covenants on the property restricting the use of the property to not compete with Quick Trip, so the future use of the building would likely be an office use. The city could list it for about $150,000 and negotiate any offers. Upon sale of the property, the city can use the proceeds for capital improvements within the park system. One item on the capital improvement plan for 2015 is a new pavilion at J.C. Park. Estimated cost for that pavilion is $150,000, and this expenditure would be acceptable to Quick Trip. Staff would recommend approval of the resolution accepting the donation of the Quick Trip property at 303 Mineral Springs Road.
Thank you, Troy. Any questions from the council?
Let's have a couple. So given the city has no use for this property, does it stay on the tax roll?
Yes.
So
when we sell it, yeah.
Right. And so we will have some costs in maintaining the property over time. Got a little bit of a fear that we're going to sit on this for a long time, and we're going to give it away. I mean, we're going to have money invested in it just to maintain it over a term, and then I'm worried we're going to have a hard time getting rid of it, and it's going to be a give it away.
Our intentions on this discussion with Quick Trip was to get it filled. We didn't. The vacant property doesn't do any good for anybody or the neighborhood because they needed to get so much from it. The discussions grew as we knew we didn't have to get as much for it as they did. So it's a tax write-off for them. I've already had two businesses and developers contact me about it. In fact, I'm probably, upon this, I've got one anticipating to submit an offer within the day. So our intention is first and foremost to get this property occupied. And second, this presents a rare opportunity in which, one, we can fill a vacant property with a business, keep it on the tax rolls, and we get paid to do it. So our intention is to get it filled and collect as much from the proceeds as we can for public purposes. It is not intended to sit, maintain it, and try to get the maximum amount of money we can do for it. Because really, we won't have very much into this. If we can turn this around and get somebody in there quickly, it's very little on our end for maintenance and effort, and we can see money going into the city general fund for park purposes. So I share, I understand your concern there, but I will tell you I've had two people that are very interested in this property and are sort of waiting for this resolution to be in the city's hands so that they can submit offers.
Any other questions? Any other questions from any other council members? What is the council's wishes?
Motion to approve Resolution 37-14.
We have a motion by Dave Burbank to approve 37-14. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Kevin Rainey. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Good luck with it, and let's sell it right away.
Yep, I agree.
Next item on the agenda is 3.61, purchase of a 2014 two-ton truck, and with that, we'll go to Kyle.
Good evening. Previously, we had authorized the sale of quite a bit of equipment that was no longer needed and obsolete. The proceeds from the CAT auction alone exceeded $200,000. We still have some other items we're waiting for their auctions to complete. I'm estimating the total proceeds to the city will be around $230,000 from items we've sold. One of the things that we had earmarked those funds for was an additional 2-ton plow truck, and I've got this is a twin to the one we've already purchased. The cost is $166,201. An interesting note on this, the Freightliner truck actually went down in cost of about $2,000 from when we originally got quotes, so that doesn't happen very often. We recommend approval.
Thank you, Kyle. Any questions from the council?
Motion we approve.
We have a motion by Nate to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Greg Schultz. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Now we move on to 3.62, health insurance contribution for non-union employees. And with that, we'll go to Chris.
Thank you, Les. Action we'd like the council to consider tonight is approval of our defined employer health insurance contribution for non-union employees retroactive to January 1st, 2014. As a part of our total compensation package, the city contributes to monthly health insurance premiums. Staff is proposing that employer contribution amount increase by 2%. Total cost of the 2% increase for all non-union employees will be $8,451. Funding will be achieved through an appropriation in the budget for contingencies, and staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, Chris. Questions from the council? What is council's wishes? Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Dave Burbank to approve. Do you have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion there? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Now we move on to 3.6.3, notice of intent to franchise cable television service. And again, we go to Chris.
One of the city's initiatives under our strategic plan was to seek competitive, higher quality service, lower cost options for telecommunication/cable TV. State law establishes a specific process for considering the issuance of a new cable franchise. The city must first publish a notice of its intent to consider franchise applications. Such a notice has to be published in the official paper once each week for 2 successive weeks. The notice will establish a deadline for applications. That deadline has been established at October 1st of 2014. The deadline must be at least 20 days from the date that the notice is first published. The city will also need to hold a public hearing regarding any applications received. The city is also requiring an application fee of $7,500 to offset our expected costs. However, the application fee is used for any direct costs that we have, and any remaining amount is refunded to the applicant. The notice and the associated application instructions will specify the information the applicants must file. This information will include an explanation of each applicant's financial, legal, technical, and other qualifications. If an applicant is successful, the city may negotiate a mutually acceptable franchise terms with such an applicant. The only budget impact would be our cost for publication, and staff would recommend approval of the attached notice.
Thank you, Chris. Questions from the council? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion to approve or disapprove. We have a motion by Nate to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Greg Schultz. Any further discussion here? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Now we move on to public comment, and anyone in the audience that wishes to speak, please come forward, and would be items that are not on the agenda, and ask you to keep it to 2 minutes.
Good evening, council members and city staff. My name is Jennifer Libby. I'm the president of the Owatonna Area Chamber of Commerce and Tourism, and it's nice to see all of you this evening. I'm here to present a letter from myself and then also Andy Michaelitz. Andy is our chair of the Public Policy Committee. I did send this out to all of you later this afternoon, but as I'm sure you didn't have an opportunity to grant that, I'd like to give each one of you now.
I gave them each a copy.
You gave them each a copy?
Yep.
Great. I can't keep up with you. You're too fast. Thank you. So basically the content of the letter states that we'd like to applaud the fiscally conservative choices that the council has made over the last few years, and as an active participant of the city budget process, the OACCT, of which we represent 580 businesses, would like to extend our support of reducing the levy during the upcoming 2015 budget session. While we recognize and appreciate your investment of the 2014 LGA increase into one-time expenditure for infrastructure improvements, we would encourage you to consider a levy reduction for taxpayers for the 2015 budget. And the goal of the Chamber has been and continues to be an engaged voice in the budgeting process of the city. We believe that transparency, efficiency, and broad vision are key components of the budget process, and the business community needs to share that responsibility for improving Owatonna. We encourage your utilization of the central garage concept, continuing to streamline processes, and budgeting with less dependency on the volatility of government dollars like LGA. We welcome dialogue on this and would be happy to meet individually prior to the preparations for the 2015 budget efforts. And if our organization can be of any assistance, please do not hesitate to contact us. One of the concerns, or one of the issues of feedback that we have had as we have budget discussions, is coming in early into the process. And so that's the goal of our conversation today, and I just want to reach out and extend that guidance and that support and that recognition of efforts already taken. Questions, comments?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Gentlemen, I spoke to you during one of the last meetings about the littering problem, and I had done a little research on it, and there were only 2 tickets for littering issued in 2013, and only 2 tickets so far this year. I submit that we effectively have no littering control program, and I recommend it to your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Seeing none, we'll move on to council comment, and we'll start with Nate Dotson.
Have a happy 4th of July.
Great.
Nothing more to add other than have a happy 4th of July.
Dave.
Kind of got rained out on Flag Day for the number of flags displayed, so I'm hoping to see a lot more over the July 4th weekend.
Thank you. Kevin.
Have a great 4th of July weekend. Stay safe.
Brent.
Have a great 4th of July.
Thank you. Mayor.
Nothing to add.
Chris.
Well, we have a few announcements here. Just a reminder, this is an election year, and we will need election judges to serve at the polls on Election Day in August and November. To serve as an election judge, you must first attend a training session offered by the Steele County Auditor's Office. Sessions will be offered on Thursday, July 24th, and Monday, July 28th. Information regarding the training sessions will be mailed within a week to those who have previously served as election judges, but we will be needing some new judges, so if you would like to consider that, please include that on your calendars. Also, just a gentle reminder, I know it's been raining a lot, but we've been receiving more complaints about long grass. Just urging residents to keep up with their mowing if at all possible. We've also received several calls regarding recreational vehicles parked on streets, such as boats, campers, and motorhomes. We currently have a parking restriction that no vehicle should be parked in one spot on the street for more than 48 hours. And recreational vehicles also have some additional restrictions which vary depending on the length. So if you have any recreational vehicles, please review our ordinance number 702 for the restrictions applicable to your vehicle so that you stay in compliance. We have a number of activities coming up. Owatonna Weekend Out is July 11th, 12th, and 13th. There's a number of activities. Friday, the movie Frozen will be shown at Central Park at sunset. Saturday, there's a bike safety course at 9 a.m. at Morehouse Park. Backyard blast and picnic from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Mineral Springs Park. And on Sunday, July 13th, $2 admission all day at River Springs Water Park. So just a reminder about that. Safety camp has been rescheduled to July 16th and 17th. Night to Unite is planned for Tuesday, August 5th. Information and registration forms for your party is available on the city website on the police department page. First council meeting in August, is just a reminder, has been changed to Monday, August 4th in recognition of Night to Unite. Lots of fun events are planned at the library during the summer. Information is also available on the city website. There's story time every Tuesday morning, and this Thursday morning is Lego Mania. And next week, Thursday, there will be a visit from Mr. Billy. So there you are.
Thank you, and I want to wish everyone a happy and a very safe 4th of July. With that, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Kevin to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Nate Dodson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.